URC round number 18, the final round is in the bag, folks. We now have our top 8 playoff sides, and for everyone else, the season is done. Let's wrap up the final week that was. You guys can let us know your thoughts on how things will go once we get into the playoff matches, once the Champions Cup's all done. First match, Stormers Cardiff. Cardiff absolutely needed to get as many points out of this one as possible, preferably a losing bonus point. And then maybe 4-try bonus point on top of that. If you can get a win, you put yourself right in the playoff mix. But the Stormers 34-24 and take the losing bonus point away from Cardiff with a penalty at the end. So it's a pretty entertaining game in terms of some tries scored, although a couple of red cards for both sides is a little bit disruptive. Southworth, the big loose head, he got both a try and a red card for Cardiff, which is a little bit unfortunate with a high tackle. Willems was the guy who got the red card for the Stormers, likewise for a high shot, but you had Marty Libbok pulling the strings. You had Zas getting a brace, Hartzenberg getting a brace, Evans getting one kind of towards the end, Hamerweb, Millard, and Hughes getting the tries for Cardiff. So, yeah, I think it was a pretty entertaining game. 19-12 halftime. This one in front of almost 20,000 fans in Cape Town was, certainly one of the better games of the week, I think. And I still feel like the Stormers heading into the playoffs are a team that could potentially really mix things up. They seem to be a team in form at the right time of the season. For Cardiff, they end up finishing 9th, a point behind the Scarlets, who finished in that 8th spot. So not quite enough for those guys, but they certainly had some promising signs this season, even if the off-the-field stuff has not been going the best. Edinburgh and Ulster. Edinburgh absolutely needed a win in this one, and Ulster, their season was already done. Edinburgh managed to get it done pretty emphatically, 47 points to 17. Darcy Graham had a very busy outing, scoring an early try with some real gas, and then 2 more late to get himself a hat-trick. Also gets himself a yellow card and conceding a penalty try for a wee kind of one-handed slap down and attempted intercept, really, but he didn't get it, so he ended up getting yellow carded. Bradbury got a couple, Ashman showed some real powerful one, and Schoeman got one as well. For Ulster, it was a penalty try. Vernekoch and Postlethwaite who got the last one for them. So it ends a pretty disappointing season for Ulster. They finished this one in a lowly 14th spot, only above Zebre and the Dragons. I don't think many people would have called that ahead of Ulster's season. It has been forgettable, to say the least. But like I said, for Edinburgh, absolutely vital win, which sees them confirm their playoff spots. Obviously, they're going to be away for the playoffs. But as I've said a few times, they've seemed like a side which has got, enough talent in the mix to cause other teams problems. But they've been a little bit underperforming at times. But, they're going to be away in the playoffs heading down to South Africa, so it's not going to be an easy mix. But I mean, Darcy Graham, 7 defenders beaten. He's a handful. Sykes had 20 tackles. Ulster had how many turnovers conceded? 25. 25 turnovers conceded is among the highest I've ever seen. And I follow the stats for lots of rugby games, so yeah, Ulster need to refresh, reboot in the off-season because, as I said, it's not been great for them. Munster and Benetton. This one was pretty much a direct knockout match. I think there was still potential for both sides to make it, but whoever won this match was going to make it, and it is Munster who make it. And Benetton, with their loss and losing by 9 and not getting 4 tries in this match, they end up out of the playoffs, which is a disappointing one because often people talk up this Benetton side being, pretty much the Italian side in some ways because they do have a lot of Italian internationals. So the fact they don't make the playoffs is a bit disappointing for their season, to be honest. But Munster, they're such a weird team because you feel like they can do really great things, and you also feel like they've been a bit disappointing at times this year. But I don't want to take anything away from them because they needed a win and they got the clutch win. And again, it's a final home game for some Munster legends, and like the biggest cheer of the game, I think, was when Omani got subbed and then when Archie got subbed. You really heard the crowd in Cork really get behind these guys to give them a good vocal send-off. So that was at least one thing that was very, very pleasing. Crowley, Barron, Abrahams, and Wycherley get the tries for Munster in this win. There are tries for Rhino Smith and Berlusconi for the Benetton lads. So yeah, there was enough in this game to give Munster a little bit to worry about because they got the early try. But then when Smith replied with a double, it was Munster who were kind of ended up chasing this game, but Munster's maul got them back in the lead. Abrahams extended it, and then, like I said, once the legends went off, you felt like the momentum, the vibe, the marbo, that was all with Munster, and they were able to see it out. Benetton did get a late maul try to kind of make it game on, but again, Munster's maul replied. So yeah, 30 points to 21. Can Munster do some magic away from home in their knockout match, also down to South Africa? I don't know, because the team they're going to play has also been a little bit kind of unpredictable. So we'll wait and see. But congratulations to Munster on the win. And as I said, it's a good home send-off for the Legends, if nothing else. The Bulls put the Dragons to the sword, 55-15. That was predictable. The Dragons finished the season with just the one win. And the Bulls finished second. So goodness me. David Creel, Corbus Visa, Sebastian de Klerk, Aka van der Merwe, Sergio Peterson, Marcel Coetzee. Marcel Coetzee's finish was bloody incredible for a Lucy. Devin Williams means there's a Williams on each side getting tries because Rodri got one, Hugh Anderson got one, and Lewis Morgan got one for the Dragons. So 3 unconverted tries for them. It was 26-0 at halftime, which is pretty much game over, although the Dragons guys did score the first 2 tries of the second half to make it 26-10. But their comeback was pretty short-lived. Yeah, Bulls had the possession, the territory, the line breaks 8-5. Penalty count was 13-5 against the Dragons. Peterson had 5 defenders beaten. Nokia 110 lineouts. So, yeah, this is the absolute predictable of all predictable results for that one. Maybe that's why, I feel like the crowd turnout for the Bulls one there is probably not, the Dragons are not a big draw. I think a lot of people will be saving their money for the first knockout game in a few weeks' time. So yeah, 55-15, pretty emphatic. The Lions and the Ospreys played out a dead rubber, which was maybe the game of the round, just because nobody's going to make the playoffs, no matter the result for this one. They're purely playing for pride. G's did the lead change a lot of times in this one. Fasaki scored, Griffith scored for Ospreys in reply. Did I say Fasaki first? Van der Merwe got the first one from Kewenhorn line break. Then Fasaki, he managed to bag a couple, one out in the open and one from a maul. Ratzi got one, Walsh got one. Sam Parry looked to have won the game with their 78th minute try for the Ospreys, but the Lions were not done. They got one for Dorbella right in the corner. Goodness gracious me. I know it was a dead rubber, but as I said, the amount of lead changes in that game meant that one actually had some proper entertainment value. I kind of wish I had watched that one in full, because I only watched the highlights. So, yeah, proper tit-for-tat game, in a game which was just going to decide where the teams finish on the log. So, the Lions are 11th, which I still think is a little bit disappointing, because they've showed promise at times this year. And it means they finish above the Ospreys, who finish in 12th. Another dead rubber was Zebre and Connacht. I thought Zebre might have this one, because Connacht's been in pretty dire form, and Zebre has played some attractive rugby at times, but no, Connacht get it done 3-2. Prendergast, who had a pretty good game, got the first one for Connacht. Bolton got one, and Hurley Langdon got one. It was 2 tries, Stavile and Trula for Zebre. Again, there's some attractive rugby. Like, as I said, Prendergast power was fun. The quick hands for Connacht second was fun. Cordero was into a bit of everything. He had a bunch of carries and a bunch of defenders beaten. Trula set up the Stavile one. It was a nice bit of kind of attacking rugby from Zebre, which anytime you watch Zebre, they are going to chuck the ball around, so you will see something fun most of the time. You'll also see them fall off some tackles. Their tackle rate has been kind of poor. Like, as a guy who watches Super Rugby, at times it feels like Zebre are the Fijian and Drua of the URC. Like, a lot of attack, and at times the defense lacks a bit to be desired. But again, you will see some at least bonkers bit of magic from them in most of the games they play. But yeah, 29 missed tackles. Like, Connacht had 13, which is kind of standard, but Zebre a few too many. Cordero busted 8, Prendergast busted 5. So, nice way for Connacht to finish the season. It means they finish in 13th, Zebre in 15th. Still not a bad season for them overall in the scheme of things, because they won like 5 games, which is more than they have done in recent years. Why did I watch the Sharks and the Scarlets? Goodness me. 12-3. No tries. Masuku penalty. Fussy 3 penalties. And a Costello drop goal. 3 apiece at half-time. Masuku goes off on like 50 minutes, so we get to see a bit of Fussy steering the ship, but they didn't really give him any opportunities because the Sharks were just playing one-off runners the entire game. So, I don't know. That's what I feel like I could have watched the highlights, and it would have been a better use of my time because I watched that one without knowing the results. Goodness gracious me. That's why I think the Sharks heading into the playoffs, like they could be a danger team. They also could get absolutely rolled. I genuinely don't know. The Sharks, I mean, their scrum looks good. The penalty count was 16-5 against the Scarlets, who are also in the playoffs. They took a losing bonus point away from them, the Sharks, with the final penalty. So, yeah, the Scarlets finish in 8th. They will end up playing Leinster, which is going to be rough. But they had the only 2 line breaks of the game. The Sharks at home with that line up. No line breaks the entire game. That is quite a feat in itself. But like I said, when you don't really spin it, that makes sense if you're just going to play up the guts. But yeah, penalties, 12-3. That's the final score in the Sharks against the Scarlets. Final game, Leinster in Glasgow, 13-5. I feel like this one's a little bit of a good, I don't want to say moral victory, because it's not a moral victory, but it's a morale boost for Glasgow, who I feel like have been in a bit of a low place since Leinster put them to the sword in the Champions Cup. Like 13-5 is a respectable arm wrestle result. You're the reigning champions against the team who's far and above everybody else. So to lose 13-5 away from home, there's no disgrace in that one. So that's at least something for Glasgow. Leinster, geez, you need to win the URC this year with the record you've got. It's been quite unbelievable. Someone's going to have to roll you at home to stop it happening. So, yeah, 13-5. Jimmy O'Brien gets his try after the first one gets kind of TMO'd. They spin the ball right after scrum, so he gets the one. George Horn gets one, which is maybe, I guess both tries are pretty nice, but the George Horn was pretty slick, Cancellieri and whatnot with the line break, and the kick through for George Horn to kind of pounce on, so it was 10-5, and then the penalties for Leinster take it beyond Glasgow's touch. So, I mean, Rowe had 6 defenders beaten, Darge had 16 tackles, like Tommy O'Brien had 70 metres, he led the way in that regard. Keenan had a bunch of carries in this one, so yeah, kind of low-scoring affair for that final one as well. But that is the final round of the URC. Like I said, I think the most important games were like the Edinburgh and Munster results, and once Cardiff had lost, pretty much everything was kind of set. It just was going to depend on the ranking spots rather than how the playoffs were going to look. So it is Glasgow against the Stormers in game 1. That one I feel like should be a cracker. Glasgow against the Stormers. Glasgow are at home, not in that great form. Stormers have been one of the form sides of the end of the URC. So that one should be a cracker. The Bulls against Edinburgh. I will be surprised if the Bulls don't win that one. It's sports, so stranger things have happened for sure. But the Bulls, surely at Loftus, second side against the 7th side, should be overwhelming favourites for that one. Leinster against the Scarlets. If Leinster don't put the Scarlets to the sword, there's probably something decently wrong with the Leinster lads. They've also got a bit of, kind of mental recovery to do after the Champions Cup disappointment, but they would do well to take some of that out. Well, they already did it to Zebre, but you know what I mean. They need to get a bit of momentum going against the Scarlets as we head into the knockout stages. Then the Sharks against Munster, I feel like also could be interesting because the Sharks, like I said, just played the Scarlets and didn't score a try at home. Yeah, and Munster, you feel like on their day, could topple anyone. Just look what they did to La Rochelle in the Champions Cup. So that one, I think the 2 best watch games should be Glasgow's game and then the Sharks game, because I think those could be the closest. Leinster and the Bulls, I'll be amazed if they don't win them. But like I said, it's sports. Stranger things have happened. That's why we watch the games, right? Because you get those massive upsets. So, yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts on URC round number 18. Can you see anybody toppling Leinster at this point? You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.